Hello and welcome to a special episode of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Davey and joined with me as always is the fine wine himself, Mr. Philip Hoy.
Why, hello. I'm glad you guys waited for me to talk through this state of play because there might be one or two games in this state of play which appeal to me specifically, right? So thank you for waiting that extra day to go through this state of play. Sorry to our listeners, sorry to our viewers that it is a day late, but hopefully it's worth waiting for.
That's the hope. But joining us on this expedition, of course, is the boy wonder himself, Spencer Davis. How the devil are you?
I'm good. Yes, lads. I'll tell you what, state of play, I'm sure we're going to get into in a minute. Really excited to hear what you guys thought of this one. I actually can't wait to find out.
Well, we're not going to be waiting too long. This is a special episode because, as the guys have already said, State of Play happened literally a day ago. We wanted to do a live stream reaction. Phil was busy. I was sitting there. My hair was looking a bit shit. I need a haircut. And I thought, well, let's just save it till we're all together, shall we? And here we are, guys. So we're going to go down and really break this thing apart. We're going to really snap it open and see its insides. But first, I want to hear your kind of thoughts going into the state of play. Obviously, we recorded our normal episode of the show, episode 84, on the Friday. There was no news for state of play at that point. And then Bob's your uncle, would you believe it, a couple of days after we record, state of play gets announced. We didn't have long to wait until it actually happened. But were you excited for this one? Or is this something that you thought I could have done without it? Spence, what are your thoughts?
Tell you what, prior to watching it, I thought it was going to be like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Because all they said was exclusive look, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin. And I thought, those are two games I'm not that fussed on. So I thought it was going to be a 6 or 7. I thought the games would look good, but they just weren't going to be games for me. So I thought it was going to be roughly around there. But I won't say too much more just yet.
Okay, all right, interesting. What about yourself, Phil? Were you hyped going into this one?
Well, let me start off by first apologising to our listeners and our viewers. Unfortunately, I was somewhat engaged during the evening of this state of play because I was at a comedy gig with my family. It wasn't a comedy gig I enjoyed, let's put it that way. So all the time I was sat there, I was thinking, what's happening? What's going to happen? Cannot wait to watch the state of play and checking my phone. Okay, I was also checking the score with the football because I'm a Liverpool fan and they were playing Chelsea 4-1. Of course, we blasted them. But I was thinking about this state of play and I couldn't wait for it. But I was a little apprehensive while I was sat there watching Sarah Millican talk about her furry cunt. It just wasn't the right sort of atmosphere for me to be dreaming of what could possibly come from the state of play. I was surrounded by people having a laugh, having a great time, and I was sat there sweating. I was thinking to myself, oof, I know I want some Death Stranding news. I really want some Death Stranding news. But there's been lots of chat lately, hasn't there, about the original coming out on iPhone. And of course, they've done a skin to the backbone for your phone to be able to play the original. And Kojima likes to play games. We know this, right? I've been a fan ever since, probably the Metal Gear Solid series. And ever since, I haven't sort of looked back. But every time we get to a new state of play, every time we get to a new presentation, he's up to his games. He's out there tweeting. He's out there laying little Easter eggs and dropping little breadcrumbs for us to follow. And I was picking them up and eating every single one of them. God damn you. Now, there was a lot of speculation, as Spencer said, about Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin sort of being heavily featured at this state of play. And those games, I'm interested enough. Stellar Blade, from what we've seen, looks beautiful. And Rise of the Ronin I picked as one of my choices for the Fantasy League. So, of course, I want that to do well. I'm a little biased. And PlayStation, they've been spoiling us, haven't they? In 2023. We just wanted to keep that momentum going. So yeah, I was apprehensive going into this show. But as soon as I got back from that terrible gig, I watched the highlights of the football. And then I watched the state of play.
Football first. Okay. All right.
Well, the football was 3-4 minutes of highlights, okay? I didn't watch the full 90. Because I knew the score. What's the point in rewatching football when you know the outcome? I just wanted to see the goals. So I watched 3 minutes of that, and then I watched the 45 minutes state of play. Oof.
well, we'll get into more of our thoughts after seeing it in just a moment, but I was pretty much along the same lines as you guys. I was like, oh, cool, new state of play. Normally, I'm like frothing at the gash. Normally I'm like, oh, what are they going to show? Oh, I can't wait, right? And the blog post certainly helped. And when they come out and say, look, we're going to be putting a big focus on Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, it's like, great, okay, Stellar Blade, one of my most anticipated games for 2024. I'm really excited for this, so I can't wait to see more of what the game entails, right? But I wasn't really then thinking about it. Like, normally it just stays on the brain for ages and I can't let go, and I think, only one more day to go, only 4 hours to go, only 30 minutes to go. And it wasn't until I sat down with Spence to play a bit of Street Fighter about an hour before it started, and I thought, holy fuck, state of play soon. And then I started to get really pumped up going into it, like super, super pumped. So it was a weird time, this one, compared to normal, where we're all, super, super excited. But I mean, I suppose the important thing to know is that now that we've seen the state of play, our thoughts and our ratings on the show this time. Now, we're always kind of run the gambit between us three in terms of where we come down with these scores. So I'll be interested to see if there's a consensus, which is very rare for any of these shows. Spence, as the youngest, kick us off.
Okay, so overall thoughts of the show, not getting too specific, it was extremely well paced. There was no kind of fluff in between other than Herman and Sean kind of talking about stuff every now and then. But it was just to introduce the next big thing that was coming. It was only like a 15-second bit of chat. It was fine. I thought the pacing throughout it was awesome. The games shown, I don't think, and this is rare, I don't think there was a single duff. Really? Oh, well, there's one big duff. But that aside, there really wasn't very many games I'm not interested in, especially after seeing them in this state of play. I think this state of play was probably a 9, potentially a 10 out of 10. I mean, the thing is, in my head, a 10 out of 10 contains Bloodborne 2, so it's hard to give out a 10 out of 10. But with that missing from the equation, I do still think that this state of play might deserve 10 out of 10. It was jam-packed.
Wow. Well, we'll get more specific in just a moment, but first, Phil, I've been dying to hear your thoughts about this. What do you give the show as a rating? What's your top-level thoughts?
I'm still trying to work out which one was the dud, and I'm just scrolling through the list of titles that were sort of mentioned at this state of play, and of course he means Foam Stars, doesn't he? That did get a mention at the state of play. And Spence, you still gave it a 10, so it must have been good, mustn't it?
Good.
Well, I've got to echo that sentiment because I feel like this show was made specifically for me. Someone has been scrolling through my Twitter and finding out what games I'm interested in, what games I've been liking, what games I've been commenting on, and they put it all into one show for me. Everything I wanted was mentioned. It was the state of play for Phil. Phil's state of play. I had goosebumps on multiple occasions, and we're not just talking about Death Stranding. There was multiple games there that I was like, wow, it's going to cost me a lot of money now. There is so many games coming up. I'm going to have to change my schedule because I've been a little lax on the PlayStation. I talk way more about video games these days than I play them. I need to step things up. I need to cut back on that gym, cut back on drinking. Do I say that? That's a cardinal sin on this show. I need to cut back on something, or create more time, or find some sort of time loop where I can spend more time in video gaming, or just give up on sleep. Because there were so many great games within this state of play. And as Spencer mentioned, there wasn't a dud in the showcase. Even the VR games looked fun. The future looks crazy good for PlayStation. I cannot wait.
Well, guys, I'm going to kind of temper it a little bit, right? I don't think this is a 10. I wouldn't give this personally a 10 out of 10. I think it sits in very strongly at a 9. And the only reason why I'm not going for a 10 is because, to me, there were some cool things we saw here, right? And we're going to unpack them in just a moment, I'm sure. There was nothing here that I didn't either expect to see or nothing that just completely took me from left field. Like, say, for example, like Ghost of Tsushima 2 was announced. You think, shit, like this just come out of nowhere, right? Like, really surprising. I think the fact there were so many leaks just beforehand of like the Death Stranding 2 like name and all the rumors that were coming out, a lot of it kind of already knew to expect, like knew to expect Silent Hill, knew to expect a couple of these things. So there were some things there that kind of took it down for me a little bit from, like, a 10's a perfect conference, right? And I didn't get that moment. I got wowed loads, but I didn't have that moment that I was like, I finished it and I was like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like, I always think of that presentation where Kratos is just sitting there by the fire, right? And it's just like one of those things where you're like, oh, fuck! Or like one of those conferences from years ago where all of a sudden you hear like the Uncharted theme start. And you're just like, holy shit, we're in this. Or that Last of Us trailer where Ellie's playing the guitar and it's just going through a house and seeing all these dead bodies. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And then all of a sudden it starts to dawn on you. You see Joel walk in the room and you're like, oh, fuck! Like, it didn't have any moments like that, which is what I think it needs to be for a 10. But I was thoroughly entertained and I thought this was the best pacing they've ever done. I thought it was absolutely superb, and especially with the highlights like where Shane was coming in and stuff like that and she was saying her piece, I thought all those bits were really, really good. So, yeah, I suppose this would be a good time for us to unpack this a little bit further then. So, the way we should do this, I think, is let's go through a couple of the titles. Let's pick 2 titles each to really have a little spaff on, to really, you know, sink our loads into and you know, shag all over the place. And then from there, we can just spin it off into either like what they could do to improve or just any other thoughts that we have about the state of plays and where they're going in the future. So, Spencer, we're going round from you first. Let's keep that going, shall we?
For me, the first game we're going to talk about, and it comes to no surprise to anyone, Helldivers 2. We've seen it again. It is out in literally a week. Jesus, it looks so sick. Every single time I see this game, the good thing is it's the kind of game where the story doesn't matter. So it's not like I don't want to see anymore, because that's what my issue usually is. Story, I don't care about this. You're liberating. That's all it is. And it's beautiful. And every time I see it, it looks better and better. We're getting a mech soon after launch. Oh, baby. And that mech is going to carry us through those hard levels. Jesus. Unless we blow each other up, which we probably will. Who knows? Helldivers 2, boys, I already know you're excited, but let me ask anyway. Are you boys excited?
What a way to open the show. With Helldivers 2. As I said, this show spoke to me. It was giving me those dirty come fuck me eyes. And I couldn't resist. Right from the off. I'd only just walked into Weatherspoons and I was already getting it with both eyes. I didn't have to wait to the club. It's not 6 a.m. No, I was getting it at 6 p.m. Helldivers 2 hit me hard straight away. This is the sci-fi shooter that we've all been dreaming about. Enjoying every little morsel that we've been dropped through Twitter. And we got a little bit more within this state of play. As Spencer said, coming out 8th of February. We've all pre-ordered it. I think, Spence, you bought it me for my birthday or Christmas, and it's coming physical, so fingers crossed it comes that day, because I need to be on there. I need to be dropping down and squashing them bugs for you boys.
Damn right you do, my friend. Yes, this was super, super hype, dude. Every time we see it, like you say, it's just a fucking treat. You know, the humor that they put into their trailers is just magical. It's so good. And you know that everything there, whereas, you know, like if you normally watch a trailer and they have those moments where someone's on comms and it's fake as fuck, right? It's just really fake. Whereas everything they show in the trailers is exactly how it happens. You will kill each other. Like 100% you will. You won't mean to, but you definitely will. And all these little morsels they show of like people where like drop pods like smashing on top of them or whatever it is, right? It always just looks hype. And this time, finally seeing the mech was godlike. That mech and me are like 2 peas in a pod on the original Helldivers. And I've been waiting to see it. And I've been actually kind of worried, thinking, oh God, can I play this game without the mech? I'm so dependent on it that can I really do it without it? So to see it finally here and showing up is enough there to be like, whew, Even if it's hard at first, I just have to unlock that mech. And then I can do it. But boys, I can't wait, dude. I cannot wait. It's preloaded already. I bought it digital, already preloaded it today, so it's ready to go. So from midnight, I'm on Helldivers. And I had news today that Lewis, Potato Chief from X Marks the Box, he's gone and bought it and signed up for PlayStation Extra. So he's coming on as well with us. So we're going to have a full squad of 4. And listeners, if any of you want to join us for some Helldivers action, just send a DM, just send a message, and we'll squad up. We will kick some bug, some robot, anyone who gets in the fucking way of Super Earth is getting squashed. And that's the way we do it. Give them a nice taste of liberty. Motherfucking can't wait. Super, super hyped. But yes, great first choice, Spence. Phil, give me your first.
I mean, how can I not choose it? It's the low-hanging fruit within this show. It's the reason I'm so hyped about this. If Death Stranding 2 wasn't included, I would have still been very, very pro this show. I would have given it a sort of 8, a sort of 9. But having Death Stranding 2 skyrocket it to the top for me. Now, Spence, I think you now deserve a shot for episode 90, because the name of Death Stranding 2 is Death Stranding on the Beach. It got leaked. They weren't joking. There was no Easter eggs there. There was no breadcrumbs from Kojima. It just plain and simply got leaked. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. And within this showcase, we got some gameplay and we got some story. We got a lot of story. Did any of it make sense? No, not at all. Not even to someone who classes themselves as a fan. I am a fanboy of Death Stranding and Hideo Kojima's work. I read everything about it. I've read all the books and all the literature that's been put out about it. But this one, Jesus Christ, what is going on? There is so many components to that beautiful mind of Kojima. And how does he thread it all together? Jesus Christ. We got introduced to a bunch of new characters, as well as some old ones. Higgs being the standout. You know, he's fronting the Homo Demons at the moment with his David Bowie-esque Sting crossover look that he's rocking these days. And he feels a little bit more like an anti-hero to me this time round. Because it feels like there's a bigger bad out there within the world that's threatening our heroes. We got introduced to a new character, the Puppet. We don't know his name yet. Well, I haven't found it yet. I don't know about you guys. Now, this guy was a cross between Alan Wake in looks and Mimir from God of War, because he was strapped to Sam's, or maybe it's Sam, we don't know, looked like Sam's belt. And I'm sure he's going to sort of act as the narrator to the journey and keep you company when you're out on those long walks. But the way he was animated and the way he came across, it was so damn creative. It was a stop motion puppet. And he was moving at half the frames to everybody else. So it created this visual juxtaposition on screen that your mind just takes 3 or 4 seconds longer to process. And you're like, what is going on here? How did he come up with this stuff? And guys, it was only a matter of time until we had ninjas in Death Stranding. This is a Hideo Kojima game after all. We had 2 cyborg ninjas with Frank and Ola. We had Raiden. And now we've got red ninjas taking out Higgs and his crew of Homo Demons, screaming baby noises as they do it. How do you piece this together? There's going to be so many fan theories out there, and I'm for it. I'm in love. But I've got a bit of bad news. And I was right on a prediction. It's going to be 2025. So I've got to wait I've got to wait over a year now for this. That makes me sad. Very sad. Because I need this game in my life.
Yeah, I'll go first. Mine's probably quite short just because I haven't played DS1. But it looks phenomenal. That trailer they showed, especially the scenes where it's just Sam, or again, we assume Sam, just walking through the environment. The game is so graphically beautiful. It is stunning. And then all these characters, I don't even know who they are. And I'm like, yo, he's sick. This is dope. That puppet going half the frame rate as well. They've definitely just nicked that from Spider-Man. And they had a little nod to God of War as well when he went to put the puppet on his bum. And he's like, whoa, 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 no. I don't want to be smelling your farts on your journeys. Put me in shotgun, is what he says. I think it looks dope. It really made me want to play DS1. But like you said, that 2025 date also means I can put it off, which is a big issue because I actually really want to play it. But this year's too stacked, so God knows. But I'm excited as hell for that game. I think it's going to be brilliant. And hopefully I play the first game as soon as we get a date is probably when I'll actually play it.
Nice. Yeah, Death Stranding 2, man. Like, I know you're a super fan of Death Stranding, but I'm a fan, right? Like, I love it. I'm not to the level you are, you know, where I've got, like, the baby collection and I got, like, you know, all your stuff. You got your little... You go over to Phil's, and what you don't realise, listeners, you walk in through the front door and it looks like a normal house, but you open the one cupboard that's got, like, the locks on it, like, for do not open. You open that in the middle of the night, it's just a shrine with Kojima's picture in the middle and just covered in used tissues, just where he's been wanking all over it. It's wild, right? It's absolutely wild. I'm not quite at that level, but I'm definitely a fan of Death Stranding and Kojima's works. This game looks fucking insane. It looks so, so good. Like, from a visual aspect, it's the best looking game I think I've ever seen. When he's walking across the sand dunes, I was like, holy fuck. And there's that moment where he's walking through it and it's where all the like creatures, there's like some giant kind of BTs that are like strolling around over there. And that entire like kind of atmosphere that was laid out was just wild, let alone the moon, like a giant ass moon as you're kind of walking towards it. It's nuts. Like, the Decima engine is insane. It absolutely is insane. Like, Horizon has been able to pull off magic with it on a cross-platform game. And we've all been saying, can't wait until we get something that's PS5 only on this engine. Something that can really flex what this engine can do. And here we are. Proof's in the pudding. It looks absolutely amazing. Story, as you've mentioned, Phil, absolutely fucking batshit crazy. God knows. I did let out an audible when it said about Lou being dead. Like, total... Like, oh, no way. And so my theory going in, oh, fuck, we're on theory corner already, is that Lou's taking over those ninjas, right? That's why they're making baby noises. Surely. He's operating from the tar world, whatever it is, and controlling them. That's what I reckon. Because there's nothing in Sam's little thing anymore, so someone's helping him. So Lou's still there. Yeah, maybe we can bring him back.
Are you sure it was Sam? Or the Sam we knew in Death Stranding 1?
I reckon yes. I got no reason to think not.
Well, I can give you a reason to think not. Hideo Kojima tweeted earlier, and he tweeted out pictures of Sam, Fragile, and Higgs. And he said, I can't reveal the names of these characters yet.
Oh, it's just Kojima, man. It's just Kojima. This is it. This is just Kojima now. He's playing around with people on the name. Yeah, it's Sam Porter Bridges, man. He's fine. He's been off on his journey, come back, and now he's just like, right, time to get some revenge and bring back my dead baby. Death Stranding 2, plot. The tar's alive? What's in the tar? Don't know. No idea. I'm sure I'll read about it in a document while I'm listening to some kind of music, while I'm sitting there drinking Monster, or Lucozade probably sponsoring it this time. God knows. Have to see. But I'm super, super excited by it. Looks amazing. And I'm on the opposite side to you guys. I'm so glad it's next year. I'm so glad it's next year. If it was up to me, I would literally pause now from February. Wait till February's done. I need my Final Fantasy. I need my Helldivers. Pause from there. Nothing comes out for a year would be fucking great. And I could just catch up on everything I've missed and then dive into Death Stranding 2 next year. That would be perfect for me. Reality of it is we're going to be snowed under and probably never going to get a chance to go back to all these gems. But I wasn't worried about that being next year. We really don't know anything of the pipeline for PlayStation exclusives past this year, so it's nice to get some concrete info on something that is coming down the line, and something that we can go into future showcases, presentations, whatever, and think that, oh yeah, chances are we'll see a little bit more of Death Stranding. And that's one of those experiences that you can see a bits of, and it doesn't matter, because it doesn't make any fucking sense at all until you actually play it. And then it somehow does, which is the mastery of Kojima, right? But yeah, great choices, guys. Absolutely great choices to kick us off. For my first choice, I mean, I got to, don't I? It's Stellar Blade. I've been super hyped on Stellar Blade from the first time it was shown, and it was a tiny little reveal on the first time, but the combat looked really slick. And so I thought, oh, this is just going to be a Devil May Cry-esque game. Turns out no, or by the looks of it, no. It looks to me just like Final Fantasy 16. The combat looks identical to it. Now, hopefully it's a little bit deeper than Final Fantasy 16's combat, which was great in itself. It was a fantastic combat system. But from when they describe it, when I read things online from the developers themselves, they're describing it more along the same lines as like a DMC, like a Devil May Cry. So I'm hoping it's that fused with kind of the Final Fantasy action RPG elements that make the new style of Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake so special. They showed loads on this. They showed the quest system, they showed the amount of outfits they showed, and the detail on them was insane to me. There was some there that you thought, Christ, I could never wear this outfit because if my girlfriend walked in the room, I'm in the doghouse. Right, there's no way, you can't be wearing like, a little thong outfit. I'm going to have it dressed up like it's a Russian fucking winter outside. There's no way I can risk that coming down. Oh, so why are you playing her in the bra and pants? It's all part of my build that I'm building. Oh, fuck off, get out of here, man. La 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 la. Don't need that shit, right? So she's going to be wearing full-on balaclava, gloves, no piece of body out. None. I can't, for my own safety, lads. But I was blown away by it. I thought it looked absolutely incredible. Really, really, really impressed. And can't wait for more in only a couple of months. April release. So, could have done with a bit of a delay. But April, I'll make it work. Spence, did you have any thoughts on this? You're a bit of a late... You've got an eye for the ladies. Let's put it that way. Your girlfriend's in the room.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, game looks nuts, bro. I do think where you're saying it's people are describing it more as DMC, but to you it looks like FF16. People referred to FF16 combat as DMC before it came out. Keep that in mind. So I think it's
true.
I think it's just FF16 combat. It literally looks 1-to-1. So I think that's probably the case. But it looks beautiful. The characters look a little bit weird, but that's just because they have this kind of anime style going on. But yeah, it looks cool, man. It just looks really fun. And it's a game that, not gonna lie, before seeing that trailer the other day, I didn't actually have much interest in. Like, none at all, really. But then after that trailer yesterday, they showed so much. Where now it's kind of like, damn, April is stacked as well. Last year we said it's the year for gaming, bruv. We knew nothing. We didn't know.
What a strong quarter for PlayStation. If you're thinking you're going into this, right, you got Last of Us 2 remake, or remaster, sorry, then going into Helldivers and Final Fantasy, then Rise of the Ronin, and then Stellar Blade. How many fucking exclusives can you get? And sure, they're like third party or second party relationships, some of them. Who fucking cares where they're from? They look class, like all these games look pretty goddamn good. How are we supposed to do this, lads? Like, it is the best thing for us to just, as Phil was saying earlier, cut back on sleep's number one, right? I do that already, though. So I've got to do something else now. So I don't go to the gym, so I've already cut back on that. So it's like, right, well, I can't cut back on alcohol. Maybe I'll cut back on the misses. I think that's probably the only way forward. But even then, I don't know how much time that will save. I think I need to quit work and quit parenthood. I think those are the two biggest drains on my time.
Get rid of
Set
the kids.
Cassian free. Yeah, drop him off like in the woods and be like, come back after April. Come back in May. When hopefully there's a bit of a drought, right? Come back then. And then, he turns back up in May and I'm like, sorry, kid. Ghost of Tsushima 2 just got announced. Sorry, I'll see you back in December. Oh, now we're moving towards Death Stranding. I still got to play Jedi Survivor. Looks like you've been out there long enough now. You live out there now. You get raised by the squirrels. You be a little squirrel boy. And maybe that's the only way forward, lads. But yeah, crazy old time.
You're not going to have to cut back on the missus when she sees you playing Stellar Blade, mate. You know what I'm saying. As soon as she gets a gaze of Eve's outfits, especially because her more skimpy outfits are going to be more powerful They're going to have +1 to strength, +2 to agility. They're going to be ramping up the statistics and the benefits for dressing down when you're out in that post-apocalyptic world that we got treated to within this extended look of Stellar Blade. Now, I was wowed. And I was just watching the show at full speed. Not like some of these maniacs on Twitter. I've seen screen grabs of Stellar Blade, which will make you blush. And they're out there. You don't have to look very hard. I've got the most vanilla feed on Twitter these days. Not like some of you boys. My feed is just video games developers and, nice people that I've met in the past and things like that, right? And some of the fans that we've interacted with, I follow along with them and we have a nice little chat on Twitter. But Jesus Christ, those screen grabs of Stellar Blade. I had to keep scrolling quickly just in case anyone noticed what I was looking at on my phone. Jesus, this game is going to be dangerous. Although we're definitely all going to be playing it, aren't we? April 26th. Money's down. It's got me interested.
And that's all you want from a trailer, really, isn't it? For you guys, as you quite rightly said, you weren't like overly hyped about it. I feel like I've been banging on about it ever since it was originally shown and originally supposed to come out last year and then pushed. And it's nice to have you on board. It'd be nice to be able to go into this game and then be like, what outfit you got? Me and Phil wearing, regular things. Maybe I'm in an anorak. Phil's in, full gym gear, maybe, like leggings and something else. And then Spence is there in a bikini and fucking hot pants, right? Or nothing. He's put it on, some kind of PC version or he's hacked it over there somehow so that you can mod it so she's just nude all the time. And yeah, fair play. Do what you like. Whatever makes you happy, guys. You do what you want. No judgment from me. She's a good-looking girl. And I'm going to be looking forward to dressing her up.
I'm going to get the burqa for my character.
Oh, yeah, that's a safe bet.
Safe bet, I think. Just the eyes. That's all I need.
The problem is, mate, what they'll probably end up doing is adding that in post-launch DLC content. And that'd be 15 quid. And it would be specifically for people like us. So that, you could play it when your girlfriend's around. It's a very pro-Muslim game, this. She's a full burqa.
I can't imagine this game is going to do well out in those countries. Or maybe it will.
No.
Maybe it will. Just played behind closed doors.
It will.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why they need the burqa then. So if the wife starts opening the door, it needs to be like on a quick select, like a hotkey. Like maybe it's like a code, like a Mortal Kombat fatality. You're like left, down, right, square. And burqa just comes on immediately. And you're like, whew. So you hear that door start to open. Enter the code in. Burqa.
And you're there and you drop that combo and you're like, shit.
Yeah.
You put in the naked hacks that Spence has been using instead.
Be nothing worse. There'd be nothing worse. There's no coming back from this. Honestly, it's not what it looks like. Why is your trousers down? Why are you jacking it? No, it's not. It's not like that.
It's not what it looks like. I could explain everything.
Oh, dear God. Oh, man. Well, moving on from that, Spence, give me your number 2.
For my second game, I think what I'm going to talk about is actually a PSVR 2 title. I think I want to talk about Metro Awakening VR coming in 2024. Now, this game, we've had so many conversations in the past about like AAA titles on PSVR 2 and are there any? Is there enough? What classifies as AAA? I think from the trailer we saw of Metro Awakening, this classifies as AAA 100%. It looked amazing. It looked exactly like, Metro 2033 or Metro... What's the other one? Metro Last Light or is it Metro Exodus?
Exodus is definitely one of them. So you got Metro like 2042 or something. There's loads of them in there. I've never played a single one.
Have you not? Oh, wow.
No, never.
Damn.
Got a few of them on PS Plus and stuff, but just never played them. I've heard they're fantastic though.
Yeah, I've not played any of the others. I played Metro... the original Metro 2033 or whatever year it was. And that is brilliant. I really enjoyed that when I played it. And it's just a perfect game for VR, where it's not exactly a horror game, but it's just a tense situation. And that's kind of a perfect environment for VR, I feel. Kind of like Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, except this is a lot higher budget, darker setting. I think this game's going to flourish on PSVR 2. Davey, I know you have a PSVR 2. Are you planning on picking this up?
Definitely. It looked amazing. And I think it is going to be really spooky. Like, mega spooky. When you're going through those tunnels and that, like, mutant jumped out at the end, I was like, oh, fuck this. Like, oh, man, that's going to be tense. Like, playing the game that can't be mentioned at 8 in VR, because I haven't got round to 4 yet, that's terrifying, right? Even in just, like, normal moments, like, just walking through a forest or something, it's just scary in VR. A damp, dark tunnel with, like, scuttling, you can imagine it's just scuttling everywhere, and you think, what's that? And you can't quite see, right? And you're peeking around corners and all that. Yeah, it's going to be terrifying. It's going to be great, though. And what I loved is that, and it's something that I never thought I needed to see in a VR trailer until Firewall Ultra, but it's just being able to manually reload, right? Like, I've got such a low bar now for what I need to see in a VR title to be like, yes, okay. Manual reload's definitely in there now. I just need it to be there. Because I've played a game without it now, and it's like playing without. It's like playing the PS3 before you had a DualShock, so there's no vibration, and so it's like, oh, something's missing here. It's like that essential to a VR experience as a shooter, and I was just wowed by it. I thought it just looked incredible, and as you said, first trip. Well, not the first, but certainly the last time we've had a AAA in quite a long time for the PSVR. So I'm super hyped by this. It looks great.
Bless me. I'm glad you share the same opinion as me. Phil, mate, not being a PSVR 2 owner, what are your thoughts on this trailer?
Well, as I said at the top of the show, this one actually really stood out to me. There wasn't a dud in the whole show, was there? Metro Awakening and Legendary Tales, they both look spectacular. They both had their pluses and minuses, but definitely Metro Awakening, that looked AAA to me. That looked as if we're making progress. Now, Legendary Tale definitely looked like it was a bit of a step back. That looked like I was in Dave & Buster's playing Lawnmower Man. Back in the day when I first tried VR and you couldn't literally move, you were just shooting squares and it was just too blindingly shit for you to understand what was going on. But there was some appealing aspects of Legendary Tale. I'm sure we can talk about that a little bit later. But Metro Awakening, as I said, AAA. Woo! And I know this series is based on a series of books as well. I don't know if you lads have ever read any of those, but I think that would probably be a good place to start if you haven't actually played the games either, is maybe read a few of the books before it does come out. Now, we didn't get a solid date for this one, did we? We just got that it was coming in 2024. I'd imagine this one probably towards the tail end of 2024, because we didn't get really to see a lot within this trailer. We did get to see some gameplay and it was quite spooky, but there wasn't that much in there. And the interaction, as you said, you just saw the gun reloading. You didn't see a lot. So I'm thinking we're looking far into the future with this one. But definitely, I think this is the point where I'll ask to borrow your PSVR so I can play Horizon Call of the Mountain and play this one, because this stood out to me. Looks real good.
Nice. Love to see a bit of VR, and you're more than welcome to borrow my PSVR when it comes out. You'll have to wait for me to finish it, though. Although I could use that as a chance to catch up on other stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. No promises yet. No promises. £50 fee, though, to borrow. All right? And that's on a weekly basis. It was quite cheap. Quite cheap, really, if you think about it. 7 days rental. And I'll be there the moment. Like, if I drop it off at 6:58, you bet your ass I'm there 6:57 ringing the doorbell. So I'm there waiting. Because if it goes over 6:59, another 50 quid, mate. Another week's rental.
Are you doing delivery with that? Because I know you used to be a Chinese delivery boy, and you used to be really good at that. You always used to find people's addresses quite quickly. You were always there on time. You never missed a delivery, did you?
Never ate a chicken ball out of somebody's package, ever. Always. Always very good. No matter how hungover I was. But yes, I will chuck in delivery for that as well. 50 quid. Which I don't think is too bad. You know, the price of petrol at the moment, you got to think all these things in. Maybe I'll have to re-go over this. I'll have to sit down with my business development manager and really come out with a strategy here.
Spence, you were also a delivery boy, right? For Domino's back in the day. So what we saying? We undercutting Davey or?
Nah, I can't be asked to lend out my PSVR 2.
It's a long way to Bristol, isn't it?
It's long, bro. And that's a big bit of kit. Are you mad? Yeah, no, I'm okay. Fuck that off.
Oh, there you go. Well, thanks, Spence. Thanks, mate. I'll chuck you your finder's fee later on. Any other customers, chuck them my way, mate. I'll sort them out. Phil, what's your number 2?
Oh, my number 2. There's so many to choose from within this this list, isn't there? And I'm not sure where you're going to go next. And I really want to talk about two specific games here. Now, I think I'm going to plump for Judas. It might be a little bit of a surprise for you with this one. But Ken Levine, he's gone down the BioShock route again, hasn't he, with this one? But it looks spectacular. We've got no release date, but we were treated to a little bit of gameplay and a little bit of combat. They welcomed us aboard the Mayflower, a spacefaring city where machines control every aspect of business, art, and government within the game Judas. Now, this game took me right back to BioShock, but it also had a tinge of Atomic Heart. But when I was reviewing Atomic Heart, I said it took me back to BioShock. So all these games, they're all one and the same. And this one really excited me. There was something special about this one. But what I'm hoping with this game is we're not looking at what happened with Callisto Protocol. Now, we had the devs come over from Dead Space, and they created another Dead Space, which didn't work out for them. Now, Ken Levine, he's creating another BioShock here. So fingers crossed, he steps it up and delivers us the quality we're expecting from Judas. Now, Spence, how did you feel about this one?
This game, Judas, I was debating putting this as my number 2 game as well. It's not quite top game, just because of how phenomenal this state of play was, but it's a strong number 2. Honestly, almost made mine. It kind of just made me feel like I was a kid playing BioShock Infinite again. I say a kid. I was in high school, and the day that game came out, BioShock Infinite, I beat it that night. And I went back to school the next day, and everyone was like, "Oh, how far did you get in?" I was like, "I finished it." They're like, "Oh, how'd it end?" I don't know. I can't tell you. I had no clue at the time. It was mad. I had to beat the game again, and then I still kind of understand it. Not really. BioShock's mental. I'm sure they could do the same kind of thing again. It looks... Weirdly, the thing that reminds me of BioShock Infinite with that trailer we saw was how fluid it looked. Like the movement and the combat, the shooting, it literally looked one-to-one. It's like they've just made a new version of the game, and I'm all for it because I adore BioShock Infinite. Absolutely adore it. I think this is going to go hard. It's an easy day one for me. And Davey, mate, I know you're a massive fan of BioShock, so I'm sure you've got some big things to say about this one.
Yeah, I mean, Ken Levine has been working on this now for a long time. This studio set up, like, I swear it's been like 10 years now. It's been a long time that they've been soldiering away and trying to get something together. Like, all through the PS4 generation, before we ran this podcast, it was rumored that, you know, this new game from Ken Levine's going to be shown, and it just never came to fruition. And then we had first kind of rumors and first news about Judas not too long ago. I think it was a Jeff Keighley show, can't remember which one. And here we are now with first real look at gameplay. And yeah, it's BioShock, boys. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's the same way that with the news that I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit, you know, with Kojima going back to the stealth action genre, the tactical espionage, it's things that you want to see from your creators, right? Like Ken Levine, this is what he does, right? This is it. It's BioShock in all intents and purposes, other than the name's different. And I'm totally cool with that. You know, we've been under the water, we've been up in the sky, and now we're in space. It's the logical thing. Everything goes to space. I keep saying this all the time, lads. You start at the bottom, you move up, and now we're there. So next thing, what's after that? Don't know. Maybe black hole? That's like the proper, you know, you're on the event horizon. That's pretty nuts. For space stuff, that's like the next level, you know, or go from maybe this is in upper Earth orbit and we go into deep space, you know, get a bit like Deep Space Nine thing going on. Happy with that as well. All this stuff, it looked great. I'll need to see more. And the reason why I'm saying that, right, the reason why is because Infinite actually didn't work that well for me. I played Infinite and I thought it was okay. I thought the ending was good, but there was something off with the game. It didn't have the same magic as BioShock 1. Certainly didn't. I think just the plasmids just weren't that interesting. The environment was great at the start, and then it didn't really go anywhere. And then you got like the thing with, I don't want to spoil it. It's ages old. You're playing as the bad guy, right? You're playing as Comstock, and you're traveling back in time, and that's kind of it. So you're in kind of a time loop with yourself, essentially, to get your own daughter back. That's pretty much it. But it just didn't have the same shock factor as like Bioshock 1 has. And now I can't spoil that because Spence somehow has managed to avoid what happens in that game as the plot twist all these years later, which is insane to me. So I'm not going to be the one to ruin that. But I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. I see what you say, Phil, about when you say it's like Atomic Heart. I think it's because all the enemies were robots. And I think that's where that comes in. I've got a lot of faith that it's not going to be anything like Atomic Heart. If it is, I'll be gutted. I'll be absolutely devastated. But I'm super, super interested, and this would have made my number 2 choice for this as well. So I think we're all up there where our interest is pretty peaked. I think I'll need to see a bit more just to really just kind of wash the taste of Infinite out of my mouth a bit. Like, I loved Infinite, don't get me wrong, but it was a noticeable step down from Bioshock 1 in my eyes. And so I just need it to be back up there a bit. I need to see a little bit of mystery, I think, which is what always gets me involved with these Ken Levine-esque games. You know, the scenery and what's going on. And then just a little bit of intrigue to get me through the door and super, super hyped. But yeah, super, super hyped by it. Great choice. Great choices all around so far. So it comes to me, and I got a bit of a tough choice here. Because the one I want to talk about, we've kind of already slightly mentioned. Do you know, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Legendary Tales, boys. Legendary Tales is my number 2. I am so in for this game. This game comes out the same day as Helldivers. And that sucks. But it means that when you guys aren't on Helldivers, on the odd moment you're not, I'll be in Legendary Tales. And it also means that me and Spence have a fucking horrible conundrum. Because the game is up to 4-player co-op. So me and Spence could dive in and body slam fucking skeletons through tables. We might be able to fucking do a proper, like, Dudley Boys move on him, bro. You might be able to throw them up and I can then slam them down through the table of 3 fucking D. How sick would that be? I just can't wait, man. Like, everything they showed where, like, he had the shield and then he just Captain America's it. And we were like, oh, shit, you could just do that? Or, like, when someone throws, like, a spear and he just catches it and, like, stabs someone else with it. I'm like, this is everything I want. I want to be able to just grab a skeleton by the neck and just fucking pound it into the ground. It's going to be so fun, dude. Now, this game, Legendary Tales, came out 2 years ago to PSVR, to PC VR. Came out in 2021 in early access from Googling around on it. So a lot of people aren't too excited to see it back. But for me, who never had a PC VR, I don't fucking care. This looks fun as hell. And the fact that you can go in as co-op is just even better. Like, we have so much fun with, like, mini golf in VR. This could be this year's mini golf, bro. This could be the game where we're like, oh, we went into a dungeon and we just tried out some crazy stuff. I just throw somebody and then you ran in and drop kicked them. Like, we could just have a right laugh with it, or just throw someone's head around to each other. It's going to be so much fun. I am so in for this. I don't care that it's not up to the same, like, budget level as anything else. The interactivity looked next level. And that's what I want from my VR experiences. Super, super hyped. Spence, will you be joining me? Probably not on February 8th, but in a short period of time after the initial day of Helldivers release.
Yeah, 2 years after Helldivers, I think we'll be playing this game. And I think it is going to be brilliant. Because the thing is, we saw 2 PSVR 2 trailers at the State of Play. One was Metro, which was highly choreographed. They showed you specific moments. Whereas Legendary Tales, they clearly just said, oh, just play the game and we'll just take some moments out of your gameplay. And that's what they did. And it was brilliant. They just said, let the game speak for itself. And this game's, like you said, it's been out for years already. They could have made a high budget trailer for it. And they thought, we don't need to do that. Our game's sick. Let's just play it for an hour and then just pop it in a video. And that's all they did. It looks phenomenal. All the weapons you can use, this magic spells you can use, Captain America's shield, Mjolnir teased at the end. Can you imagine you just running through a room, chucking people in the air? And as you do, I'm chucking Cap's shield at them one at a time. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And then they all just land on your spear or something, or just land on a table and you go, oh, straight onto the table. It'd be sick. I think this game's going to be a world of fun. But you did say 4-player co-op, which means, Phil, there's room for more. Will you be renting or might you buy a PSVR 2?
I won't be buying it for this game. No. Possibly for Metro, but definitely not when we've got Helldivers on our plate. But I think with VR games, we need to start looking at them differently. I don't think when you want to play a VR game that we should be looking for that high fidelity that we're almost promised with Metro. I think we want to look for other aspects of the game to sort of concentrate on. And I think Legendary Tale really brought that across within their trailer. Because, as you boys have mentioned, this game just looks like incredible fun. It looks like it's a 90s game. It looks absolutely trash. But it's not about the looks. It's about what you can experience within the game. Okay, the visuals on a TV, you see a floating hand with a spear and a sword or a shield. But can you imagine holding that? Can you imagine smashing a skeleton as he flies across the room and then Spencer jumps out of the corner and RKOs that bitch? Now that is hype. That is what's going to be fun within this game. It's not going to blow you away with its graphics, as I said. It's not going to blow you away with any fancy, intro or story or any of the other things that we look for within a AAA game. But this, I promise you, is going to be an epic VR game.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Look at this, all in agreement on this. And I'm sure that we're going to have loads of little shorts and clips that go up from mine and Spencer's gameplay of this, because I'm sure there's going to be some ridiculous moments that we managed to capture from playing this game. So I'll look forward to sharing those when the time comes. It's only next week, which is absolutely nuts. I'm so excited. Although Helldivers. Yeah, we'll see how that all pans out. But guys, we've gone through our top games. There are a lot of other games that we could discuss here, but before we go into any of them, I do want to get your thoughts on something that seems to be splitting the internet very much in half, and that is Silent Hill. So Silent Hill 2 was shown here alongside the stealth kind of drop release of Silent Hill The Short Message, which is now available right now for you to play. And that is exactly what I'm doing after we finish this, which I'm very much looking forward to. Now, what are your thoughts, guys, on both The Short Message and Silent Hill 2? Did they speak to you? Did they raise concerns? Where are you going with this? Spence, over to you.
Okay, I'll speak on Silent Hill 2 first, I think. I thought it looked great, Silent Hill 2, other than there was one thing that bugged me about it, and that was just the melee combat. And it just didn't look good to me, which is weird because it looks exactly the same as Last of Us melee combat. So I was like, I don't know why. Maybe it's not as intricate as Last of Us, where it laser scans your surroundings so that it can adapt to your combat. But yeah, it just looked a bit half-assed. It was like 2 animations of just, and then that was it. And I also didn't like the way the guns sound. The guns sounded really soft. Like every single gun had a silencer on the end when they didn't. But that's okay. Gameplay-wise, I thought it looked great. Graphically wise, it looked beautiful. And just the aesthetic, the enemies. I mean, it's stuff we've all seen before. But it's just in a new engine. And it looks fantastic. And I don't have too much experience with Silent Hill. So I have nothing but hype for this. I'm just excited to play Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, fair. Now, Phil, you've played Silent Hill 2 back in the day, many years ago, probably same as myself. It's been a long time since I've gone back and revisited Silent Hill. Not for long, mind. What did you think about this?
I was really excited about this one going in. Now, this is Silent Hill 2. This is Blooper Team's, version of Silent Hill 2. They're trying to do what Capcom have been doing with the games that cannot be mentioned. They're doing remakes. They're upscaling everything, making it all look gorgeous. Which, I can agree, there is a stark difference between the two. If you put the original next to this game, it's night and day. But do I think it's to the same level and polish that Capcom have been doing with their games? No way. Don't be silly. Jesus, get back to the drawing board. Now, it worries me slightly as well. There is no release date for this. And they're showing it. They're showing this much of the game. Now, It looked a little ropey when it comes to combat. Spence, you've mentioned it. And I don't know if you ever played the game that cannot be mentioned on iOS. The game that can be mentioned on iOS. There was a number of moves that you did as Leon, as you kicked away the zombies, and it was the most repetitive shit ever. And it was just a coin in from Capcom. All their kind of iOS games were. Now, the combat really reminds me of that. It's just terrible, honestly. It just didn't come across, I think, in the way that they really dreamed that it would. Now, he was fighting some torsos, and I think we got to see the nurses, and the smoke, and the fog, and some guy who kind of looks like Leon. I don't know. Has it soured it for me? No, because I'm a massive Silent Hill 2 fan. The game's incredible. So regardless, if they're not putting in the same level of effort as Capcom have, as I've said, with the games that cannot be mentioned, I don't really care. I just want to play Silent Hill 2.
Fair. Good point. I think for me, looking at it, right, it's weird to me that they did a combat trailer for Silent Hill 2. It's just weird. Like a game where you really don't want to be doing combat with anything, and they put combat up. Like I remember when I was a kid and I played Silent Hill 1, the demo for that, right? Before I ended up buying the game. And I remember going around with like a bloody plywood board or whatever, some kind of metal rod, and beating everything to death, and then soon like just running out of everything, and then being like, oh god, I'm just dead, right? I got nothing to do. And it's kind of that thing where you learn from playing survival horror, especially like classic style survival horror, you learn just not to bother. Like to try and avoid where you can. You take out the ones that you really need to because you just don't have the resources to do it. So the original animations were always kind of sucked. They always sucked ass in Silent Hill 1 and 2 especially. 3 got a bit better. It looked like, the melee looked like it was just taken exactly from Silent Hill 2. It looked exactly the same. And I don't know why everyone's complaining about it. I'm like, I don't get what you were annoyed about. It's the most faithful thing out of everything they've shown is how shit that melee looks, because that's exactly how it always used to look, right? There's no difference there. I think people are probably going to be getting in their own head about this and comparing this with, say, the games that can't be mentioned remakes, because they're very different in, like, Capcom have gone in and they've totally re-envisioned it. And they said, right, well, it's completely different. Like, you play the game that can't be mentioned 2 original and remake, and they are vastly different experiences. Like, hugely different. Stories different, kind of everything's kind of different with it. And some people love that, some people hate that. I'm hoping with this it's a little bit more faithful. Other than the camera was different, I guess. But the thing I'm hoping for, right, when I look at this, I'm hoping it's one of two outcomes. It's either one, that it's early in development, and we're talking late this year, in which case they got enough time to put the polish in, make it look better. Or, secondly, it's a 40 quid game. Which I think it could well be. I think this could well be at like a $39.99 release. And I think then at that point you just overlook that.
It would be such a waste if that is the reality. It's a game that goes down in history and comes up on a lot of top 10 lists. And it's a game people have wanted for a long, long time to be remade. If it comes out of that £40 mark or $40 mark or even less, people are going to be burning this world to the ground. There are so many passionate fans about Silent Hill, and they've jumped in at the big dick of the series, Silent Hill 2. If they spoil this, there's no future for Silent Hill. It ruins everything.
Yeah, you're right. They've got to nail it. They've got to nail it, and they really should put all the resources and all the care in the world and do this the best possible way it could be. The highest fidelity. Silent Hill was always one of those series, much like Metal Gear was at the time, you know, both Konami projects, where you look at them and you think, fucking hell, this looks immense, right? It looks great. And especially comparing like Silent Hill 1 to like the game that can't be mentioned 1, it was like worlds apart in terms of the difference there. And sure, most of that was because they were hiding everything by fog, and so it gave a chance for it to be really small environments, but it was really unique in everything it did, Silent Hill. And now they got the chance that if they're following in the footsteps of the game that can't be mentioned style, they're going to lose their own identity. So they just need to really focus up. I've got faith in it. I've got faith. A lot of people are like, no, they're walking away from it already saying, no chance, not even going to bother. I'm not at that level. I'm intrigued, but I'm certainly not at the point where I'm like, oh my God. Like, you see what they do to Final Fantasy, and it's like, you know, insanely good for Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's like everything I wanted it to be, right? Like in the looks department. Or the same with the Game That Can't Be Mentioned series when they do a remake. This hasn't grabbed me by the balls like that, but I'm still interested, and I suppose that's the big thing. So when do you think, judging by the fact there's no release date on this, anyone want to take a hazarded guess as when they think this is going to come out, and if it is going to make this year or if it's going to get delayed?
I personally hope it gets delayed. I personally hope this is just a teaser, early development, as you've said. We're not getting it soon. I really hope this is 2025. Fingers crossed it is, because if it came out now, it would bomb. And just by the outrage, the developers would have seen that, and they need to make the right decision. And the right decision here is to delay it. For once on this show, we're saying delay it. Normally we hear about delays and we're kind of moaning a little bit, you know, and we're like, oh, but I want the game now. With this one, I can go back and play Silent Hill 2. It's on my shelf. I can go back and play the original because it's not progressed that far in what I saw within that trailer. So yeah, put it back in, let it cook. 2025, just don't release Near Death Stranding 2, please.
Yeah, hopefully so. What about yourself, Spence?
For me, I don't really have much to say because Phil's just nailed it on the head. I think it'd be nice if it was maybe October this year, just for Halloween vibes. But like Phil said, I don't think it'd do well. I think they need more time to, like you said, aptly let it cook. They need to show more, give people a bit more trust in the game and in Bloober Team, and just show them what they've worked on and hopefully make it look good for 2025. If it does release 2024, I would be thoroughly surprised. Really surprised.
Well, it's been cooking for a while now, so I wouldn't be too shocked if it did come out this year. If it did, I mean, you've got to hit October, November. You've got to. And you want to avoid November, ideally, because, you know, COD season and all that. So you're probably looking at maybe a late September, early October. And judging by it, it won't be very well received by the fan base. Maybe the best option is to put it back in. And, you know, when that bell rings and that buzzer chimes off that it's all good to go, then take it out and serve that perfection up for the rest of the masses. But we'll have to wait and see. There was another Silent Hill project in the short message. Now, this, guys, is the one that I remember we spoke about this on the podcast like fucking ages ago. Maybe like 20 episodes ago, maybe longer, where there was that leaks came out where the girl's face with all the like notes and everything. And we reported on that and said about how how hyped that all looked. Well, it looks like that, my theory with this anyway, is that they are probably cooking that up and then they couldn't make it past the initial concept. And they thought, fuck are we going to do? We spent a bit of time on this. We made this look good. We designed a cool enemy. We got some cool ideas. They said, everyone loved PT, didn't they? Like, yeah. Let's just fucking put out a short little experience and we won't charge and it will just get people hyped for Silent Hill. And I think that's pretty much exactly what's happened here. That's my theory anyway, just to tie people over. We're in the run of Silent Hill now. We got, you know, all these different Silent Hill projects coming up, with 2 just being one of the many ones they've announced. Are you guys interested in this? Are you going to be checking it out? And do you agree with my theory here?
It's hard not to agree with your theory here, Davey, because, yeah, you're right. They shadow dropped a Silent Hill during the state of play. That's why I'm rating it a 10. And if it wasn't clear in my intro, I am rating this show a 10 out of 10 because we got a free Silent Hill game that we were all very excited about. And this game, it was ready. The microwave had dinged. The cooker was ready. We took it out and we served it. Woo! It flew. And I was very, very excited. This was the one I was getting goosebumps on, outside Judas and Death Stranding 2. I was wowed by it. It had moved on a lot from what we had seen previously, and it looked spooky as hell. Spooky. I'm going to have to play this one with the lights on. I don't know how you're going to do it, because you're streaming this straight after the show, right? Wow. And people can go back and watch that stream once this video is out. But my God, I don't think you want to be spoiled on this one. I don't even want to watch a stream. I'm a bit scared thinking about it. But I'm definitely going to be playing it, definitely going to get this one downloaded, and definitely going to get through it. But as for your theory on why we've got it, I'd like to hope you're wrong, but I totally agree. They came up with a great concept, a great character, a great little game, if you like, and they couldn't go anywhere with it. And they thought, you know what? We're going to be on a good run now with Silent Hill. We got so many projects that we need to, concentrate on. Let's get this one out the door. Let's build that hype. Let's build that goodwill with the audience, because we haven't done anything with the series in a long, long time. Silent Hill 2 don't look that great. So let's build them up. Let's give them something for free. And that's put a big smile on my face. I don't know about you, Spence.
I actually disagree with you boys. I think this was their plan from the get-go. I think they wanted to release it as a kind of PT-esque thing, and I've played it. I've got probably about 20 minutes left of the game. It's only a 2-hour experience, roughly, give or take. It's not that long. It's good. It's not PT. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not PT. So that's it, really. And I was playing it just before we recorded. It is good, and the story in it is actually really interesting, and I'm really excited to see how it ends. And I'm wondering, I haven't heard anything online about this, but I'm wondering if, like PT, it had a trailer at the end. I'm wondering if this does too, because that would be really exciting if it does. But I guess I'll find out in about 20 minutes time after this show's wrapped, because I'm hopping straight back on it. It is fun. It is really good. I wouldn't go into it thinking, oh, it's PT, because it's not PT, unfortunately.
Is it shit your pants scary? Because when we watched the trailer, Spence, you and me were both like, fuck, that looks terrifying.
I got scared once, and it wasn't really a scare. I was running from that creature that you see in the trailer, and I just took a wrong turn, apparently. And there she was, and I just went, oh, and then that was it, really. Other than that, I've not really found it scary at all. It forced you to play slow, and the information you find is really interesting. The atmosphere is a bit spooky, but I haven't found it scary yet. Maybe the ending is really frightening, but so far it's just a game.
Before our audience and our listeners, dive into this game, let me just warn you, Spencer's made us some really tough stuff, because he said this many a time about games, and I've jumped in, I've shit myself. So I'll give you the flip side of that once I play it, if I play it.
Yeah, that's true. It might just be me. That might just be me. But yeah, just trying to lower expectations, maybe. It might supersede them.
Well, thank you for lowering them. I'll be checking it out straight after this. I was super, super hyped by this. I think it looks great. And straight away I was like, well, my content plans are fucked. So here we are. I'm recording it tonight, review out over the weekend, have it out next week. So fun times. Busy old time. Now, guys, we've been going quite a while on this. 1 hour odd in. Anything else you want to bring to the table? Any other game you want to give a little shout out to, or anything else that stood out? For me, there's one piece I think we definitely will want to talk about. But has anyone got anything they do want to bring to the table?
Yeah, I've got one more thing I wanted to mention. And I know we've got Spencer taking a shot now, episode 90, because we're on the beach with Sam and crew with Death Stranding 2. Davey, I think you're going to have to take a shot as well, because we're getting more states of play. Let's go, boys. We're getting them back to back. We're getting one on the 6th of February to show off your Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So, take that shot, son.
Does that count? Does that? I wouldn't say that counts. That's like a specific one about just that game. There's nothing else there. I wouldn't call that a state of play. They're calling it that. But when you think of a state of play, you don't think about like when they did, it's always on my lips at the moment, but when they did Ghost of Tsushima, and they did exactly the same thing for that, and they were like, this one's dedicated to Ghost of Tsushima, and it was just 20 minutes to Ghost of Tsushima. And you come out and you're like, oh, that was nice. And that's it. I wouldn't call that a state of play. I mean, they are, but are we?
And I quote, they're just going to release things on the blog. We're not going to get any more states of play anymore. They're not going to do nice presentations for us. You're just going to get a blog post. I think that's going to be the future of PlayStation. No.
I did say 2 per year. So this is 2. So I'm not taking a shot yet, Phil. If we don't get another one, then I'm quids in. But, God, I hope we do. I don't want to splurge them all by Feb. Come on, at least space it out. The audience, let me know. Let me know. Does that count as a state of play, or am I... Because I'd say it doesn't. It's just a Final Fantasy showcase.
It's called a state of play, mate. It's on the screen.
It's presented by PlayStation. That's why.
They could have called it Final Fantasy Deep Dive. You know, hopefully what you get is these are the 2 state of plays, and we just get showcases for the rest of the year. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes. That'd be good. That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be class. Can't wait for that as well. Next week, February 6th. Oh, it's going to be great. Although I kind of don't want to see it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth stuff. I'm already sold. So I don't want to see it, but I kind of do. You know, it's like when we got the game that can't be mentioned, we're always like, we won't watch them. We're like, oh, but we have to for the show. And we're all like so desperate for it, right? Jacking it off immediately. So I'm probably going to end up watching it. I got to see Tifa, boys. You know, fuck me. I got to see Tifa. I can't say no to that. That's some top level. As my dad would say, totty. Top level totty. Look at that alliteration as well. Right. Well, I got one thing to bring to the table here, and that is just the news of Kojima Productions' brand new AAA IP action espionage game, which Kojima came out and did the same thing he did at the Game Awards, when he says, oh, we're working on something. We're starting after Death Stranding 2. It's like, cool. All right, I'll see you in 6 years. Cool. But the only reason I thought it was cool is because it's action espionage. You know, we're back in the same wheelhouse as Metal Gear, which is all I needed to hear. And the fact that when they described it, he mentioned that it's going to be, you know, that it's like movies and all this stuff, right? And so, you know, it's going to be like 20 minutes of gameplay, 4-hour cutscene. And I'm all down for that. I love Metal Gear Solid 4. So seeing that come back again, fuck yeah. Only difference this time is I don't have the unlimited time I did back in Metal Gear Solid 4 time in my life. So that might be a bit of a struggle. I might be watching that 4-hour movie in 3 separate play session bursts, which probably will take the sting out of it a little bit. Were you guys super excited by this news? Kojima coming back in a brand new IP specific to PlayStation coming out in the probably far, far future.
Yes. Yes, I am. But we were expecting something from Kojima. We're expecting something a little bit off the wall. And of course, he's part of this now new movie studio, new movie development studio, isn't he, with A24. And this all feeds in now to what he's going to be doing with PlayStation. And they've got their full backing now for Kojima Productions. And we're getting an action espionage game, which is not Metal Gear Solid. So much fun, that little interview, because they kept saying things and they just wanted to mention Metal Gear Solid, but they didn't mention Metal Gear Solid. They were like, I really liked your previous action adventure game, which isn't Metal Gear Solid. Honestly, Kojima, don't say Metal Gear Solid. I can't say Metal Gear Solid, but we're both talking about Metal Gear Solid. And they were talking about Metal Gear Solid because we're getting an action espionage game from Kojima, which also could be a movie and a game and a movie and a game, somewhere in between. Who knows? Who knows what he's going to do? But I'm down for it. I'm already buying a ticket, boys.
Yeah. Well, keep that ticket for about 6 years, mate. Because that's how long it's going to be till we see it. So maybe PS6, but I'll be hyped for it whenever we get there, right? Same way that Xbox fans have been hoping for fucking Elder Scrolls news for like 7 years now. Spoiler alert, you're still waiting for Elder Scrolls news. So I'm sure we're not going to be talking about this anytime soon, right? Past this.
Probably not, but we did get a hint at the name of the action espionage game, or at least the code name, didn't we? And I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce this because I haven't heard it said yet, but I'm going to go with Svint.
I thought it was like 2 separate words.
No, I just said Physint.
Yeah.
Because it's like physicist, isn't it? 2 syllables.
Yeah. That's how I'd go for it.
Who knows? Lady Demetrescu.
Yeah. I'm Mr. Maloon, thank you. I think I got this. I'm the one where...
It wouldn't be the first time we've pronounced something wrong, so I'm going with Svint. You're going to go with...
Physint.
Physint.
Yes, terrible.
Well, we got a name.
Yeah, well, On the Beach wasn't great either, was it? But here we are. Spence, any thoughts on this? Were you excited by this news, or was this something that, again, you just thought, oh, cool, more Kojima stuff?
I'm definitely excited by it because Kojima is a legend. But the thing I'm grateful for, which is the opposed for probably you both, It's just how far away it is. So I got so much Metal Gear I need to play prior to it. Oh, sorry, not Metal Gear. I got so much action espionage, previous Kojima titles I need to play. And there's a lot of them. And then there's remasters and remakes and ports. I'm just going to play probably the remakes when they come out. But I'm glad it's so far away because my backlog is burning. I still haven't played the game I bought a PS4 for. And that's probably on my list soon. But when I get there, I get there. Thank God this is going to be on the PS7, on Decima 3 or something. God knows. But I am excited by the news. I do think Kojima is obviously going to smash it out the park. Will it make sense? Fuck no. Will it be brilliant? Probably. And I'm excited for it.
And so with that, we have spent a long time unpacking this, way over the length of the showcase itself. We have had a great time with this showcase. And when you've got this amount of games to talk about, I do feel sorry for the games that we have missed from this. But this is where you, audience, can come in handy. Obviously, we got 2 weeks now until our next episode. But we would love to hear from you in the meantime. Which game stood out to you from the showcase? How would you rate it? Let us know. Hit us up on the social medias, which are all in the description of this show itself. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, there's a number of ways you could support us. If you're listening on podcast services, then please go on, put a rating, like it, do all that good stuff. Share it around with your friends, sisters, aunties, brothers, everyone you like, just not that one uncle. And if you're on YouTube, then make sure to put a like and a subscribe. It all helps us grow the channel. Really, really appreciate all your support. But that has been this special one-off episode of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Spencer.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.